and welcome back to the channel where we make things just because. Today we are going to have a go at doing some watercolours. Now, the title does say for the first time, and that is not strictly true because we all did art in school, which means we probably all had a go at this. However, school was a very long time ago for me, so we're going to try it now. Now, most of the things that I do on this channel and I'm going to do on this channel are going to be for the first time or something I haven't done in a very long time, and normally I just barrel headfirst into it and give it a go. But this particular project pushes me way out of my comfort zone. I am very much a doer and a maker, and this is very artistic and not something I do very often. And so we're going to just do a couple of tests just to work a few things out before we get going. But let's start out by talking about the paints we're going to use. Now, when I think of watercolour paints, I think of those little pucks of dried paint that you get in like a kid's art set. That's the only watercolours I have ever encountered. But the watercolours that I have got for this project are these ones just here. And as you can see, they come in these little tubes like acrylic paints. So I'm not really sure how they work. So I guess the first thing that I need to try out is to find out how I'm supposed to use those. While we are getting set up, however, you may notice that we're in a slightly different location to the starts of my normal videos. And this is because my YouTube analytics tell me that you guys don't like looking at my face. And by that I mean there's always dips in my video viewing when my face is on the screen. And I took great offence to this, and as punishment to you all, we will therefore be looking at my face this entire time. I joke. Really, I just want these videos to feel a little bit more like we're doing them together, more like I'm talking to you and less like I am talking at you. So because this camera is set up to look at my face, I also have employed my GoPro so that you'll be able to see what's happening down here. So experiment number one for this one is going to be testing out the consistency of these paints. I'm also going to be using some of these, kids paints. You can see me. Some of these kids paints as the control for this particular experiment. For the kids colours, what you normally do is you take some water on your brush, you put it on the paint until your brush is, you know, painty, technical term, and then you paint it on. Oh, these are not good. Let's try one of these instead. Let's try the same colour. Let's see how these go. Oh, they look actually quite similar. Oh, well. I shan't hold my breath on these then. This is why we do tests, people. Especially when we don't know what we're doing. We do tests so that we can find out what we're doing. Okay, I think these paints are pretty forgiving, so let's try one more. Right. So you can put it on, and then you're meant to be able to like make them less consistency by adding more water and just like gradienting it down. Also, my YouTube research tells me. Okay, I think we're just gonna have to hope for the best with this one, to be honest, and see how everything goes. Okay, so, I mean, in theory it works. I'm not convinced these paints are great. These kids ones are already dried. These ones are taking a really long time to dry, which may cause some problems. I mean, if worse comes to worse, we'll just paint with kids ones, but I bought proper colours and I want to use them. So I'm just going to assume that we can continue with them as they are. So the next thing I wanted to look at was blending some colours together. So let us put some more red down on one of these. I'll put red here, like this. And then let's see if we can blend it into a colour that might look nice in the middle. Let's try blue. I don't really think it particularly blends. Oh, maybe when you go back and forth a bit you can get it to blend. It just looks a bit muddy to me, but it's sort of blendy. I wonder if we can like blend two similar colours together and if that would be better. Let's try that. Try like a dark green and a light green. So let's try that. There's our green. There's our light green anyway. And then here's our dark green. Oh, I think they blend together better. The light and the dark, like this. Oh yeah, okay, they blend together okay. I wonder if I can get this to blend better just by putting some more water on it. No, I cannot. Okay. Right, there is another thing I wanted to try for blending, which apparently you can do, which is to wet the paper first. So let's try that. If we wet it down first. It's not meant to be really wet apparently, just a little bit wet. And then if we take our blue. Oh, hello. That's an interesting effect. That's our blue, and then if we get our green, what does this do? Oh, hello. It's like a firework. I still don't really blend though. If I put the light green here, how does that go? Just splidge it on. I don't know if it was the effect I was going for, but I guess it's cool. Oh, I've ruined it. I've ruined it. I put too much water on it. I've ruined it. Well, that's worrying for this project, but we will move on anyhow. Another thing we can do is we can layer the colours. So I'm going to put down a layer of one of these colours just on its own, like this. Okay, so that is mostly dry now, so I'm going to attempt to put another layer of paint on top to make it more vibrant. Oh, maybe it does work. Maybe. Okay, the more layers you put on, the longer they take to dry. We have learnt something. We're just going to try one more layer on here. Okay, you can definitely make the colours more vibrant and more opaque by adding more layers. At the moment, I'm thinking my favourite technique so far has been the wetting the page first and letting the colours kind of mingle together. But we'll have to wait and see. This is the first one we did, and I actually preferred the outcome of the kids' watercolours. I think they give that more of a watercolour feel because they're a bit more wishy-washy. However, I think that's down to paint consistency, and I think that's more of a me issue than a paint issue. And I think this proves my point kind of quite clearly, that the more water you put into the paint, the more wishy-washy and watercolour-y the paints get. Then we looked at some blending. Blending didn't go so great. It just became a bit muddy and a bit grim. Even when you mix two really similar colours, like two different shades of green, the kind of in-between was just a bit meh. We also tried the wetting the paper first method, which for me, when blending the colours together, worked a lot better before I put the line through it, obviously. So I think this is probably the technique we're going to use when we blend our colours together, because I think this works better. The next thing we did was we did some layering. So as you can see, you can build up the level of colour on the paper just fine. The paper does start to go a little bit fluffy. I don't know what the word is. It starts to fall apart. So yeah, I think we're going to be okay. I think we can get on with it. Before we get started, I suppose I better tell you what inspired me to actually do this. The artwork in The Sims just talks to me. Don't know why, just talks to me. So we're going to be doing another Sims wall art piece, these ones specifically. So as you can see, there are two different pieces of art that I want to try and replicate in my own way. Now these are a little bit obviously simplistic because they're on a computer game, so there's not a lot of detail. So I want to try and up that detail a bit, but by keeping the same effect basically. So this is the first one I'm going to try and do. Now as you can see, I've already drawn it because you do not want to watch me struggle with the drawing. So it's already drawn. I want to start with the blendy technique. So I'm going to work in little sections, I think, because I don't want it to dry out. So I'm going to wet a little part, put some colour on. So I think I'm going to start with the yellow veins in the middle because that way I can get all of that done and then work around it, because once they're yellow, I think we'll be fine just to keep moving. So I'm just going to gently wet those areas down. I'm going to start down here on this tip. I think I'm going to need some yellow paint, but let's just get it wet first. Just make this a little bit yellow. Oh, it's very yellow. It's very yellow. It's very yellow. Okay. We're just going to keep going. I'm just going to do all this bit in yellow and then we'll work from there. Hopefully I'll be able to fix these up once it gets to the green bits. Hopefully this will be less grisly. But we will see. We will see. I'm sure it'll be fine. And hey, if it's not fine, we have a whole nother one to do after. So maybe we can redeem ourselves there. So it turns out we're not doing that thing where we wet the paper first either. We'll just get the yellow down. Then we'll go back and we'll put some green over it and try and get those to blend together, which somehow I don't think is going to happen. But hey, we will just keep building up and building up until it resembles something that I'm happy with. Oh, it's just... All right, we don't have any yellow. I wonder if I can like force the yellow back in. You can't force the yellow back in. Looks like it's all going to be green. It'll be fine. I do kind of like the way though that the watercolours like naturally form their own little border when they go onto the dry paper, and the pigment kind of flushes towards the edges. So it makes it kind of look like you've put a little outline on it, even when you haven't. I don't know if we're able to keep that effect moving forward, but I would like to try. I would like to try and keep that effect moving forward because I do think it looks rather nice. I don't think we're going to be able to come back with yellow and fix this, but I am going to try. I'm going to wait for it to fully dry on that part, and then I'm going to come back and try and put the yellow back in slightly as a highlight. But in the meantime, I guess we'll move on to the leaves. I'm going to sort of wet a little bit of one of the leaves. That's what I'm going to do. And we're going to try. I'm going to try and get the greens to like mesh together a little bit. Guys, we're doing it. Okay, so lighter in the middle. And then darker on the edges. I'm not entirely convinced that there is enough contrast between these two colours of paint for this to work effectively, but we'll see. We're just going to have to definitely work in sections to make this work, I think. And also try to put less water on it, I think, is also going to be a massive help. Try and put this other colour back in a bit. I genuinely thought that I would be talking to you guys a lot more throughout this process, but it seems my nerves are getting the best of me and I'm not as talkative as I thought I would be, which is fine, it's fine. Okay, we just need a little bit more water on these, I think, to stop it being weird, but overall it could be worse. Could be worse. Okay, just gonna keep moving and not worry about it. We are making more progress. I don't feel quite as horrifically horrendous about this now. But what I'm going to do is I am going to pop you on a time lapse so that you can just watch me finish getting this first layer of paint on, and then we'll come back when I start doing some layers and stuff. See you shortly. Okay, so this is the first layer of paint on. I am now going to attempt to go in and clean up the edges of my lines and put some more kind of contrasty colours in. So put some lighter bits in and some darker bits in on top of the base that I've already put in. Hopefully this will go well, but I am not holding my breath. So to give this some contrast, I am painting a very dark green into the edges and then using a large brush with just water to spread the paint out onto the rest of the leaf and blend it in. Okay, I am slightly happier with this now. I think this is going in the right direction. So I'm going to pop you onto another time lapse. I'm going to finish off this layer and all the other bits I want to do, and then we'll talk about what I'm going to do next. See you soon. I started this part by adding the yellow back into the vein areas of the leaf and then continued adding on the darker tones throughout the rest of the leaf. Okay, so this is all of my highlights and lowlights that I'm going to put on. I am going to stop here for risk of completely messing it up, because at the moment, I think it's all right. I am just gonna fix the veiny bits in the middle now to try and give those a little bit more definition. And then I think we're gonna call it. I will speak to you again soon. Here I went around all the vein areas and added in the green to define them a little better and improve their shape a little bit. I am going to call it a day on this one. I think if I play with it anymore, I'm just going to end up messing it up, and I quite like it as it is. I'm not keen on the veins in the middle of the leaf. I think maybe they're just a bit too much contrast, but I don't know how to fix it, so we'll leave it. And we will move on to the next one. Okay, and we are back for round 2. I'm gonna pull my GoPro over and I'm going to show you what it is that we are going to be doing. So this one is a little bit different to the way the Sims picture was. I decided to go for this eucalyptus leaves instead of the other leaves because I don't know what they were and I couldn't find them. I'm not going to do the weird textured technique on this one. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to start by painting the whole thing in a flat colour, and then I'm going to come back and put shading in and the undersides and leaves with the second layer of paint on this one. Okay, so this is the first layer of paint on. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come back and put a second layer of paint on only some of the leaves so that they have like a different opacity, which will hopefully differentiate the leaves much better. So once this is dry and I've done that, then I will come back again and we'll talk about what I'm going to do after that. Okay, so that's our second layer of paint on. So as you can see, we've got some of the darker leaves and some of the lighter leaves now. So hopefully that will give them a little bit more differentiation. Once this layer is dry, I am going to come in and I'm going to do some shadows in the leaves where the leaves are curled over on themselves. So obviously one part is supposed to be at the back of the other part. So I'm going to put some shadows in there so you can see that a little bit better. I'm also going to start putting some definition into the stem, because in some places it goes over the leaves and in some places it goes under the leaves, and at the moment you can't really see where that's happening very well. So I'm going to make sure you can see that, and then I will also attempt to come in and do some shadows, but I think that's going to be, get this bit done first, come back and do shadows after and see how it looks. This is how far we've made it so far. So as you can see, there is some differentiation in the leaves now. There are those areas that are darker that are supposed to be the back leaves, and the areas that are at the front that are supposed to be the front leaves. I'm not massively happy with some of these areas, so I'm going to go in and just touch a few bits up. And I'm also going to start now outlining all the leaves so that they've got their individual shape. Okay, so this is our details all done. I think it looks a little bit cartoony. I don't think it looks very watercolour-y, but I'm going to try and pull it back a little bit by putting in some shadows now. So hopefully once this is done, it will not look so weird and a little bit more realistic, but we will just have to wait and see. So this is the finished piece for painting number 2. I hate it. I thought this was going to be the easier of the two, but it really wasn't. I am sad. So anyway, let's see how these both look when they are framed and stuff. Right guys, so that is my attempt at watercolour painting. I don't think it's for me. The first one was fine, the Monstera leaf. I was actually quite impressed with the outcome of that, considering my art skills are very limited. The second one, however, I think it just looks like it's been poorly coloured in with a felt tip pen. So I want to go back and give that one another go, which I will do. I probably won't do a video on that one, but I will certainly post pictures to my Instagram, so you can go and see that over there. If you want to see me keep doing these harebrained, wacky things, first of all, you can go over and watch my tapestry video, because that has a very similar outcome. And secondly, you can subscribe below to see all the future videos. So thank you guys for watching, and goodbye. I don't know if any of this will be usable footage, my apologies. He's so big. Oh, what is that? Why is it doing that?